Spring After Spring, How Rachel Carson Inspired the Environmental Movement by Stephanie Roth Sisson. In nature, nothing exists alone. Spring after spring. Chirry, chirry. It was dawn when the chorus began. Rachel didn't want to miss a note. Bee, bee, caw, caw, buzz, cheer, cheer, tickle, tickle, woo, woo, chiree, chiree, chirr, chirr, chirr. Hello! Chirp, chirp, buzz. Wait, wait, beep, beep, buzz, chip, chip. As midday sun warmed the earth, other musicians chimed in. Life and music were all around, and wonders big and small. Do you see that? Holding a microscope so you can see tiny, tiny things. See how big it becomes? Choo-choo. Spring was Rachel's favorite time of year. As the sun set, she could hear the first bubbles of frog song. Crickets began their nighttime tune, and bats squeaked a lullaby. At home, there was a warm supper and a big family. Mom played the piano, and Dad sang songs and read stories. Rachel's favorites were those about the sea. As the days grew longer and warmer, the chattering, chirping, and hooting got louder, until the gathering calls from the migrating birds meant that it was autumn or fall. They were coming together for their long journey through the ocean of air to their wintering homes. What are those?
Birds.
Yeah, they're birds. They're geese.
Geese and cows.
But not everyone left. Look at these. They're burrowing in the ground to stay warm during the winter. Snuggled under a warm blanket, Rachel drew pictures and wrote about the life she experienced all year. She read books about animals and imagined what their lives were like. Whoa. Spring after spring. Every season Rachel watched, listened, wrote, and like the nestlings, she grew quickly. Look at her growing. Turn, turn, turn. Turn, turn, turn. Whoa. Hello, hello, tree, tree. Then one autumn, it was time for her to go off to college. She was sure she wanted to be a writer until... what happens? Vroom. She looked through a microscope and saw a small world in a drop of water. Tiny sea plants and animals, yeah.
They're looking for food.
Yeah, looking through a telescope. And these things become bigger. Tiny things become bigger.
We never eat these.
Well, I don't know which will hurt your tummy and which won't. Some are parasites. Some are harmless. Rachel was amazed.
Blueberry.
Yeah.
What?
I wonder what a blueberry would look like under a microscope. Rachel, or telescope. Rachel was amazed and in love. She wanted to know more about the very small world made visible by a microscope. I guess microscope. Oh no, I said telescope. Telescope, we look up at the sky. Silly mama. She had never been to the ocean and was scared to go in the water. To learn about the creatures in tide pools, marshes, and the sea, Rachel decided that she would study biology. She put her writing aside. Look at that. What is Rachel writing on? What is that?
A paper.
Well, paper, but what is that picture of? Is that a boat? Is Rachel on a boat? Yeah, and what is Rachel doing here?
Playing with toys with a crab.
Yeah, looks like she's playing with toys in the sand. Kind of like you play with your toys in the sand. She's studying and she's digging up things and she's looking at things and she's writing down things and she's reading and she's looking and she's reading. She's learning about things through play. Just like you do, huh? After she finished school, Rachel worked as a scientist and completed information about the ocean. Now for her job, she wanted to know what it was like to actually be underwater. She was still scared, but she went anyways. In the fish world, many things are told by sound waves. So dolphins and fish and whales and all other animals underwater, they hear ripples or sea ripples, and they hear sounds. And that's how they know dangers nearby, predators or humans. And Rachel is in scuba gear so she can go underwater and still breathe. Fish can breathe underwater. Humans need certain tools to breathe underwater for a long time. Oh, look at this typing. Rachel began to write books about the sea. They were so full of scientific detail and vivid descriptions of the lives of sea creatures that people could imagine those words. Rachel became a famous author. But there was something wrong. Oh no. All around, nature's voices were going quiet. Oh no, animals were disappearing, dying. So Rachel did what she did best. She watched closely, listened carefully, and learned as much as she could about what was happening. Rachel put together scattered facts and found the answers. Look at phone calls, looking at dead fish and sea creatures, reading books after books, learning, watching, listening. People wanted to kill bugs that ate their plants, bothered them, and sometimes even made them sick. Chemists created new poison to solve the insect problem that seemed to work and seemed to be harmless to other creatures and humans. These poisonous chemicals were quickly used everywhere in huge amounts because people thought they were safe. But Rachel found evidence that the poisons were not safe. Look at that. Planes spread them, cars, to get rid of insects. But everything affected everything. Poison eaten by microscopic water life eaten by tiny fish eaten by bigger fish eaten by eagle egg shells are so thin that they break during oh no, look at this. And slowly all the animals can get hurt because other animals eat smaller animals.
Maybe go on a walk.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We can go on a walk and look at nature. Rachel wrote a book to tell people what she had learned. Silent Spring created a huge ruckus.
Maybe a play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People were inspired to change. Eventually, President Kennedy Kennedy took notice and began an investigation to find out what was true. Rachel was asked to come to Washington, D.C. to defend her book. She was scared, but she went. Look at all those people watching her. And all those, what are these? Those microphones? Everyone's listening and watching. Rachel's testimony in Washington and her writing in Silent Spring made people see that they have an effect on the environment and the other creatures that they share the world with. People were inspired to speak up. Congress passed new laws so the nature was treated with more care, and some of the most harmful chemicals were banned. Spring after spring, year after year, people celebrated the earth environment because Rachel showed them how beautiful and precious it is. Look at all these people looking and listening to nature, looking through binoculars, playing, staying on the trails, taking pictures. But Rachel went home and continued watching and listening. In the morning, she went out among the tide pools and gathered specimens. In the afternoon, she carefully studied them and took notes on her observations. And in the evening, when the tide had gone out, yeah, we can go look at them exactly in the same spot she found it. Exactly where it belonged. Yeah, I like that idea, Benji. We can go on a walk. The end. As human beings, we are part of the whole stream of life.
And now we'll go a walk.
And that was called, what's it called?
Free after free.
Thank you, Benji.